You're listening to That Music Podcast with Bryson Tarvin, the curriculum designer and educational consultant behind That Music Teacher and the Elementary Music Summit. Each week, Bryson and his guests will dive into the reality of being an elementary music teacher and how music can truly be transformative in the lives of the students you serve. Show notes and resources mentioned in this episode can be found at thatmusicteacher.com.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to That Music Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking all about sensory fidgets. And actually, I'm going to be repurposing a piece of content that I made a while back that honestly didn't get seen by many people. And I've had a lot of people asking me about the fidgets that I use in my classroom, how I implement them, which ones I use, which ones I avoid. And I go over this all in this video that you're about to see. So this was recorded in December of 2022, but it's still really valuable. It still talks about all the fidgets that I use, how I use them, and how I make sure that they're not absolutely driving me absolutely bonkers. So I hope you enjoy this blast from the past listening to Bryson from 2022. And I posted something yesterday about fidgets, and they got a lot of discussion, a lot of people messaging, asking like, well, how do you actually do this? How do you put fidgets into your classroom without it being absolute chaos? And the first answer is it's kind of chaos for a little bit. And I know that's probably not the answer you necessarily want, but it can go quick. I'll be honest, I never really formally introduce fidgets to anyone. Typically, my school does a really good job at making sure that kids know that, if they need it, basically they get introduced. Like our school counselor does a lot of stuff like that. But I just basically my kids, they kind of figure out because the other kids asked for it. I have a box of fidgets and kids ask when they're curious. So for instance, today in kindergarten, and again, in kindergarten, I never say, hey, here's all these fidgets you can use, because that would be absolute chaos. But I've had kids that use fidgets all year round, or so far the entire year. And today was kind of the first day where they realized, oh, I can do that too. And it was fine. The kids, I have the fidgets that I have. There was nobody fighting over how many, oh, but he got this one and get that one. I have what I have. And I just made it clear, that, hey, if you're going to be using them, that'll help you. I love that. When we do a game or something, you're going to have to put it away. But if while we're working at the board, if that's helping you learn, that's awesome. As long as you're being safe and not distracting yourself or others, you're gonna be able to keep it. And the kids did great. I had a couple of students where, they got their warning. I usually give, especially the younger kids, especially as they're getting used to the fidgets, they're like, oh, I'll kind of give like a little warning about, hey, if we're not gonna use it safely, or make sure we're not distracting others, I'll be really obvious. I'll be saying, hey, Johnny, right, the way you're flinging that around, it makes me a little nervous because I feel like someone might get hit. If you continue to do that, you're gonna have to put it away. And I would hate to have to do that. And if they keep doing it, they get to put it away. But eventually the kids get to, they figure it out and they figure out what what's expected of them to use the fidgets. So let's talk about some of the fidgets. So fun fact, I was not looking to buy more fidgets, but on Black Friday, Amazon had these, I think after like a coupon, and it was like $10 for all these. And there are definitely some of these that I will not use in my classroom just because of what they are. But there's a lot of really good ones. For instance, so here are, actually, I'm just gonna take these out. So the first one I love these. They're like little mesh. They're like really sturdy mesh with a marble in it, because personally I like this because I can go back and forth and just kind of move it around. I will say these are really hard to break. I have had a student that somehow I handed it to one of my students and all of a sudden he handed it back and there was a marble broken. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know that was an option. But they're really sturdy and they just you kind of go back and forth. What I like about these is they're quiet. They don't make any sound. They're not distracting. That's what I like about these. These are great. They come in all kinds of different colors. So I think I have like 4 or 5 of these in my classroom, because again, they're quiet. Quiet fidgets are my favorite fidgets. Another one that came in this is a squishy. I don't do squishies. They're gross. Personally, I love squishies, but having kids share them, that's not really my cup of tea. Another one that's really good are the pea pods. Let's see if I can get it up to the camera. Let's see if I can get the focus. So literally it's just these peas. I personally don't like these, but I have had some students that do. Basically, you just kind of push and the little little piece come out. I don't like these. They kind of hurt my hands a little bit, so they're not my favorite, but you might have students that really like it. I like this middle one. The middle's not too bad. But honestly, I feel like I have to really kind of like squish my thumb to make this work. So these, have you guys ever seen these before? These are actually one of the first fidgets that I ever found. I saw that. I was like, what is that? What's that little thing? But yeah, this is another one. I have a couple, not really the favorite. Again, I don't like them either. But anyway, each to each its own. And I'm sure we're all aware of pop sockets. Not pop sockets, goodness. What are they called? My brain complete. Poppets? Poppets. Poppets. So I'm partial to poppets. What's nice about pop is it's kind of the fad starting to kind of wear off. So the kids aren't like super into it unless they like actually it's going to help them. But I'm not a huge fan because they do make sound. I like these smaller ones because, oh my goodness, you can get giant ones. But I like these smaller ones because they're small and they're just kind of here to help a student, not like make it the whole thing. I feel like the bigger ones sometimes can get distracting, which is not my favorite thing. But again, to each their own. This is one that personally, I have a few of these. They're not the favorite of the kids though. Beyond that, I don't even know what to call this little snake left, right, joint thing. I'm not a huge fan because these can make noise, but I do have them in my classroom because out of all the noises that are being made, I mean, they're quiet. So like, I'm not gonna be super against it. The kids really like it. You can actually make it shorter. So like if it does get broken, you can make it smaller. The kids like to try to figure out how to turn it into like a snake or something, which is hard because every other turn is like at a right angle. These are good. Again, I don't know what you would call this, but we would kind of move forward. And then that's kind of the main ones. The only other one are these, and I like these, but I'm sure as teachers we can all figure out why these are not great in the classroom. They instantly turn into boom. Literally, as I was taking pictures of these the other day, I literally hit myself in the face so hard that I saw stars. So I don't really like using these in my classroom because they can turn into chaos and they like to do this and things like that, which isn't the best. But, you know, there might be students in a time that kind of does well. Fidget spinners, absolutely not. That's not happening. I hated those. The last one are these little bike chain things. They're quiet. They can go right into your palm. Ooh, let's see, get closer to my face. I'm still working on the camera on Facebook, but they can go really... kind of go in your palm, and they're quiet and they're small. Beyond that, those are kind of really the only ones that I use. Again, this thing kind of came with some bigger poppets. I'm not a huge fan of the bigger poppets just because I feel like the bigger ones tend to be a little bit more distracting. And then this particular thing of fidgets came with this tube, which is absolutely not going into my classroom as a fidget. It might go as an instrument. Okay, I dropped it, obviously. But it's this thing. Yeah, that's not a good fidget. I'm not going to give my kids this as a fidget. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of That Music Podcast. Again, sensory fidgets are incredibly important. Me personally, I love using fidgets. I think they're a great way to make sure that my classroom is more accessible. It's easy. You'll likely have money in your special ed budget or some sort of SEL fund or something in your district that you can get these for your classroom without having to pay for them. And quite honestly, even if you do have to pay for them, you can really find them online pretty cheap. Again, thank you so much for watching this week's episode. As always, if you could do us a huge favor and leave us a review wherever you're watching or listening to this episode, that would be extremely appreciated. That really helps us understand which episodes are most enjoyed, what we can do better in the podcast, as well as just kind of giving us a little bit of a reminder that there are people on the other side listening, and it's not just me talking to myself with Kat here today. So with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I will see you next time.